Hi everyone, welcome to Movie Magic Mondays, your weekly tickets to the movies. I have seen a couple of movies over the weekend, so I'm gonna talk about them on this Monday. At least I'm gonna talk about one of them. I don't want to make it too complicated. I've seen a few movies from 1993, which is, more than 30 years ago. I've seen Dazed and Confused. You know which one that is? Alright, alright, alright.
Say, man, you got a joint?
No, not on me, man.
It'd be a lot cooler if you did. All right.
I've seen The Son-in-Law with Pauly Shore, which I had not seen before. I am a sucker for some of the Pauly Shore movies, especially like Biodome and what is it called? The Caveman, the Frozen Man. There's even like a reference to the scene with Brendan Fraser in here where he eats the frog as well. If you remember both scenes, then it is kind of cool to see these things in movies and to discover these things even after more than 30 years, because I had not seen that one yet. So that's awesome. But today, long story short, we're going to talk about True Romance, which is also from 1993. Super weird. All three of these movies made in the same year, and all three of them have a completely different vibe, and that like really blew me away somehow. I know Dazed and Confused, of course, plays in the 70s, and there's a lot of smoking weed going on, and there's a lot of like old school stuff, and it was a bit weird to see now, I think, especially with the rituals where they beat the kids. But the Son-in-Law is goofy, funny, very over the top, and True Romance is fucking badass. So we're gonna talk about True Romance today. And I think True Romance is one of the coolest, stylishest, most awesome movies there is, in my humble opinion. If you have not seen it, then go watch it and then watch this review. If you have seen it, relive the scenes that made this movie great and still make this movie great together with me. First of all, the director, Tony Scott. It's crazy what that guy made in the 80s. If you look at his resume, it's just fantastic. He made like Top Gun, then he made in the early 90s Beverly Hills Cop 2. I think Top Gun was 86, Beverly Hills Cop 2 87 or something, 88, I don't know exactly. Then 91, I think, he made The Last Boy Scout with Bruce Willis. I really loved as well. Then he made, of course, True Romance, Crimson Tide, all kinds of really, really good movies. Man on Fire, like later on, and Spy Game. Awesome. Really, really great. Good stuff. And he actually based the True Romance, as most of you might know, and if not, then let me tell you, on a screenplay from Quentin Tarantino. Don't get me started on Quentin Tarantino. I love that guy. I did my final exam in English about Quentin Tarantino. The title of my exam was "A Genius, a Hero, a Maniac?" ? I just watched a couple of movies of his because back then, when I did the final exam, there were not a lot of like a final paper. You know, do you have that in the US as well, where you have to deliver like a final paper about some subject and like 20 pages, and you have to do like research and you have to quote like sources, and yeah, we didn't have the internet back then, so I had to buy a couple of books, and I quoted, of course, the movies. And yeah, that was kind of awesome, and I obviously love Tarantino. Would love to make a movie like he does. That would be my ultimate dream. Different story. He wrote the screenplay for True Romance. I think in the beginning he was a bit pissed that there is a happy ending. Yes, spoilers. There is a happy ending. I'm not going to tell you how it's going to end, but there is a happy ending. And now I think later on he said that the ending actually fits the movie better than his original ending, which I think is cool to admit. And I think, honestly, the ending, like it is in the movie, is just fucking fantastic. we got, of course, Clarence, who on his birthday gets to meet the absolute lovely Patricia Arquette, who is sent to keep him company on his birthday, because he normally goes to the movies on his birthday, which is what I do every birthday as well, which is very funny. I think I based this on True Romance, because when I saw the movie, I thought it was so cool, I have to imitate it. But since then, I have been seeing, I think even before on some of the birthdays, like, yeah, you know, if you have birthday parties, you sometimes just do cool, funny stuff, and normally my dad and my mom took us to the movies as well. I remember my first movie was on my birthday as well. It was The Last Unicorn. I think it was about 5 or something. And since then, I loved cinema. It was crazy. But afterwards, I made it a habit, same as Clarence, to go to the movies every year. And yeah, he's watching a Kung Fu triple feature. Sonny Chiba, very, very nice. And they sent Patricia Arquette to keep him company, because he normally goes alone. And yeah, she's kind of a call girl, and he obviously falls in love with her, goes to her pimp, which is played by Drexel, which is played by Gary Oldman. I think he often is described as the blackest white guy in movie history. And I think, yeah, the way he acts here is phenomenal. Of course, later on in his acting career, he went on to win Oscars and such. So you already saw these crazy roles he was just indulging himself in his early days of his career. Remember, like 2 years later, he made like The Fifth Element. I think 1 or 2 years before he made Leon the Professional. Gary Oldman, absolutely fantastic actor. And as Drexel, I'm gonna put a scene here because he's like, yeah, Marty, you know who we got here? Mr. Majestic, Mr. motherfucking Charlie Bronson. That movie is like one quote after another. It's so cool. So look at this.
Oh, Marty, you know what we got here? Motherfucking Charlie Bronson. Mr. Majestic. Look at here, Charlie. None of this bullshit is necessary. I don't got no hold over Alabama. I just trying to lend a girl a helping hand.
And now you know what I mean. I mean, like, is that acting crazy? So Clarence wants to buy out Alabama Whirly, which Patricia Arquette's character is called. And he wants to buy out her freedom from Drexel, who is her pimp. And from there, everything, yeah, kind of goes down the drain. Not necessarily, because for Clarence and Alabama it's going well. But from there, everything is like, yeah, taking a roller coaster ride. And the film starts off like pretty heavily. Is that how you call it? I feel that it's sometimes more difficult to describe the awesomeness of what you experience and talk about this than to just experience it and just chat about it in your own language with your friends. But I think I'm doing quite okay. So after he goes to Drexel, things escalate, like I said, a roller coaster ride. He kind of needs to take off together with Alabama, and they taking off to LA. And from Drexel, they have taken a suitcase full of drugs, and they want to sell those drugs in LA to hopefully, yeah, enjoy a nice life together. And they are so sweet together, and it's just, Clarence is played by one of my favorite all-time actors. I think Christian Slater, obviously, Christian Slater is just a super charming, super nice guy who played several of my favorite characters in movies I really, really loved. Not only True Romance, but also Pump Up the Volume. It was a movie that kind of defined my youth in a certain sense. We're all looking for freedom. We're all looking for who we are. So yeah, maybe I should talk about Pump Up the Volume soon. But I also loved him in movies like Broken Arrow together with John Travolta. Fucking awesome movie. And in several other movies as well. Yeah, I think he's just like a really, really nice. He comes across like a really nice guy. I want him to be a nice guy, and I think he is, as long as he proves me otherwise. He is. Yeah, they take off together, and Clarence is super cool, and Alabama is super cool, and together it's a true romance. It's not for nothing that the movie is called True Romance. They get to LA, and what this movie does so brilliantly is like certain scenes are like a story of their own. Because before they drive to LA, they stop at Clarence's dad's trailer, and then they move on, and the interaction is really nice because they hadn't seen each other for a while, but it's really cool. Played by Dennis Hopper, super cool, very nice and stylish scene. And then at the end of the scene, when Clarence and Alabama have left the trailer, like a day later or a couple of hours later, a couple of Italian fellers come in, led by Christopher Walken. I think I'm the only one who can't do a proper Christopher Walken impression. But this scene where Christopher Walken and the Italian guys talk to Clarence's dad, and they want to know where Clarence went, and the dad obviously doesn't tell them. And they kind of threaten him in a very subtle but still very threatening way.
You know, Sicilians are great liars. Best in the world. I'm Sicilian. My father was the world heavyweight champion of Sicilian liars. From growing up with him, I learned the pantomime. There are 17 different things a guy can do when he lies to give himself away. Guy's got 17 pantomimes. Woman's got 20, guy's got 17. But if you know them, like you know your own face, they beat lie detectors all to hell. Now, what we got here is a little game of show and tell. You don't want to show me nothing, but you tell me everything. I know you know where they are, so tell me. Before I do some damage you won't walk away from.
Could I have one of those Chesterfields now?
Sure.
You got a match? Oh, wait, no, don't bother, I got one. You're Sicilian, huh?
And they're both like telling stories, like Christopher Walken is telling stories. Dennis Hopper is telling stories, fucking with Christopher Walken. Then Christopher Walken gets the gun out and points it at Clarence's dad, at Dennis Hopper. Like, the way they are telling these stories, the way they are acting in this, just in this scene, is like a kind of like a whole movie. It's crazy. And that goes for the scene, for example, with Drexel as well, when Clarence is visiting Drexel. And later on, we got a couple more of those scenes. Super cool stuff in the movie, just throughout the movie. Not only are a lot of characters played by very well-known actors. I think super cool example is that some characters even do not like show their faces, played by really cool actors. Clarence is talking to somebody in the mirror who's giving him advice, and that guy in the mirror is Elvis, because Clarence really loves Elvis, and like Elvis is talking back to him, and Elvis is played by Val Kilmer, and Val Kilmer is like,
Clarence, I like you. I always have. Always will.
Always have, always will. And these kind of little things are just fantastic. This whole movie is so good. I can watch it all the time. There's a guy on the couch of Clarence's best friend. When Clarence comes to LA, he asks his best friend who works in the movies to help him sell the dope. And on the couch, there's living a guy, Floyd, and Floyd is not doing anything. He's just hanging around, and a lot of people are dropping by looking for Clarence, and he's like, well, I don't know. But that guy is played by Brad Pitt. Super cool. I think he's awesome in that role.
You can't help me out every now and then? Yes.
Where are you living here? Hi! I'm Alabama.
Clarence, you look good. It's a great place. It's nice. Come on, let's start. Let's go get something to eat.
I'm not dressed.
Who's this?
That's Floyd.
Floyd, all right, let's go. Come on.
Wait, let me go. It's okay, Floyd. Watch yourself. Be careful. No.
Hey.
I got nothing. All I got is fucking Floyd. I have to put in another quote here.
I don't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out. All I got is fucking Floyd.
Super cool. And then even like the scene at the end of the movie, there is like a scene when Clarence and his best buddy and Alabama are trying to sell the dope. But in the meanwhile, one of the movie guys they want to sell the dope to, Elliot, he is kind of, he has been caught by the cops, and he's kind of working undercover now for the cops with a wire, and the whole thing escalates, of course. But some of the cops are like played by super cool actors. Some of of course, the Hollywood guys are played by super cool actors. Even some of the bad guys you will recognize from many movies they have played bad guys in. I think it's done brilliantly. The whole escalation and just Alabama telling him, "You're so cool, you're so cool."
Amid the chaos of that day, when all I could hear was the thunder of gunshots, and all I could smell was the violence in the air, I look back and am amazed that my thoughts were so clear and true, that 3 words went through my mind endlessly, repeating themselves like a broken record. You're so cool. You're so cool. You're so cool.
You know, you can quote that movie all day long. Live fast, die young, be a good-looking corpse. If you have not seen this movie yet, the whole escalation at the end and there's a big shootout, of course. And I already mentioned in the beginning, there is a happy ending, and I think it's okay for this one. I really enjoy the happy ending. If you have not seen True Romance yet, maybe you were too young to. I watched it with my daughter, and she's 17 now, and she can appreciate these kind of movies. Maybe I'm lucky. I know not everyone who is young, and I consider myself not young anymore, unfortunately. It is what it is. Not everyone is into like older movies, and in general into like action movies or like a bit deeper movies that are more focused on dialogue and just being cool and stylish, and just having the actors carry the movie the way it should be. Nowadays, sometimes movies have hundreds of explosions and I don't know what the fuck is going on. And in these days, an explosion counted for something, and a shootout counted for something, and a dialogue of 5 to 10 minutes counted for something. And then you remember that kind of stuff, like the scene with Dennis Hopper and Christopher Walken. It's crazy that these things are not really happening anymore, except for maybe in Tarantino movies or like movies of some directors that are into that kind of thing. It's sad as well, because these movies were fucking fantastic, and maybe my daughter is not the general reference, and a lot of young people might not like it, but I really assume that a lot of young people might like these kind of movies. They are not stupid. Young people are the same as we were when we were watching this movie 30 years ago when we were young. And if you get like a digital remastered version which has been recorded on very high resolution cameras back in the day, the quality is fucking excellent too. So you don't even really see that it's an old movie, more than 30 years old. I don't really consider that old. I consider movies from the 70s old, but maybe that's my perspective. Alright. Check out the movie if you have not. Let me know in the comments what you think about the review. I'm really curious if you enjoy these reviews. Every day we get a sub more, and we're taking this slowly, and we're gonna ride this train into the wall if we have to, because I really just enjoy talking about that kind of stuff. But I see that there is an audience out there that is interested in movies and hearing opinions of others about this movie or these movies. And let me know in the comments what you think about True Romance, what you think about this review, what you think about older movies in general, if they are still watchable like this one, and if movies nowadays can come to the level of these movies when it comes to like dialogue and screenplay and acting and these kind of things. Very curious. Let me know in the comments. I talk to you next time. Thanks a lot for listening. Bye bye.